Good afternoon, good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce webinar, Sharing Knowledge Between Generations. We are going live on Facebook. This is part of a series that our Women's Business Council have been sponsoring for the past few months, once a month, once every 3 months. On the first Thursday of the month, we are having this conversation between women who have reached a level of economic success in their careers and want to share that knowledge between the generations. So for those that are on Facebook, I want you to share this and share it wide. If you know of any women that are interested in business and financial security and development, please share this this live stream. Tag others and join on in. For those that are here on Zoom, you have an opportunity to put questions in the chat, in the Q&A, so that we can really engage and have a really fruitful conversation. With that, I would like to introduce our chair, the stellar woman, Lynda Harris, partner at Henderson Financial Group. She has been a long-term member of the chamber. This is her brainchild. With her and Jasmine Henderson to really bring this dialogue to our community. So we want to, with that, I will further ado, Ms. Lynda Harris, you got the floor, and I'm looking forward to this fruitful conversation.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much. What would we do without you? Thank you for all your behind the scenes, technical know-how, knowledge, and expertise. We're going to have this series, like Matthew said, it's allow me to learn beside you and not just from you. This came from a conversation I had with a Gen Zer. And, Jasmine said, Miss Harris, you always, saying, let me tell you what to do. But why don't you show me? Why don't you put me right beside you? And I go, you know what? You ain't saying nothing. So we came up with this every other month. And tonight we have a great series, a great show. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber President, Mr. Jeff Lozado. Thank you so much for your leadership. I'd like to thank our President, Eric Knowles. Thank you so much for everything you do and for allowing the Women's Business Council to share and do what we do. Let's start the panel. Let's get the conversation going. First, I'd like to introduce Misty X. Brown. Misty Brown is the founder and president of MXB and Associates. Misty Brown is a longtime political connoisseur, industry expert. She's worked for the likes of President Joe Biden. She's worked for Senator Carrie Meek. She's worked for chairman of the board of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. So when you talk about knowledge and money mistakes and tonight's topic on sharing my money mistakes and successes, she got stories. How are you this evening, Misty?
I am great. So happy to be here. I do have stories. I don't know if I have a lot of answers, but I have stories. Glad to be with this distinguished panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Ernisha Randolph. Ernisha is, listen, she's an entrepreneur. She's a restaurateur. She's a businesswoman. She's a performer. She is a Renaissance woman in today's century. Ernisha is so busy. She's opening up her third location of restaurant in addition to her mentoring and her podcast. Ernisha Randolph, how are you? And thank you, girl.
Hi, I'm doing great. And I'm honored to be here. Everyone that knows me knows that I absolutely love certain women. And the women of the Women's Business Council of the Miami-Dade Chamber, that's Misty, that is Lynda, that's Connie, and so many others. They just so fly. And I absolutely adore being in your presence. Thank you for having me here.
Girl, thank you so very much. That means so much. Our next and final guest, Miss Jasmine Henderson, the Gen Zer. Jasmine is a junior associate at the Henderson Financial Group. She's joined the firm. She's seeing a lot of money come through the bank account. She's like, whoa, what am I doing and how can I be down? And so she has a lot of questions. She's always bringing her point of view. She's always questioning authority, which I I don't know why, but Jasmine, how you doing? How are you, girl?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this with me and allowing me to have access to your network of boss women and be able to ask such really detailed questions because I'm good all in the business. So thank you
Get
so much
all
for
of
the
it.
platform.
Absolutely. We want ladies for this and gentlemen, because we don't discriminate. We want this to be fluid. We want it to be interactive. We're sitting all down, having a glass of tea or wine for some, and we just want to sit back and talk and chat. My goal here, I always say, ladies, I don't want to be young again. I don't want to be Jasmine, your age again, 20 something. But boy, do I want my money to be young. Because if I knew what I know now, then hands down, I would be 10 times richer. So I'm not, again, wanting to be young, but I want to share the mistakes, and I know we all got them. So I'm going to go down some topics. Everyone out there, put your questions in the chat. Let's talk amongst each other. The first thing I want to ask is Miss Ernisha. Now, you are doing a lot. And like we said before we went on camera, we're built for this. Yeah. What is your number 1, 2, and 3 money mistakes? As a matter of fact, why don't I start off? Let me just tell my story. All right. I got married at 19, thought I was in love, thought I could take love to pay Florida Power and Light and buy grocery at Publix. My biggest money mistakes, number 1 is a man. I've been married twice. Don't judge me. I'll get married again. So it's a man, because anytime, divorce is one of those life-changing events that that affects your finances. So I would have to say number 1 is a man. Number 2 is fear. You know that saying, scared money don't make money? It's really true. Now, I am aggressive with verification and trust and research. But some things I can name the building on 79th Street Causeway. I thought I wasn't ready for that big old 15 unit. And boy, I was, and I was just scared. So a man, fear, greed. Woo! I think a lot of you younger ladies can attest to that, because it seems like now there's a scam every other day with this coin, marijuana, this, anyway, greed. And the third one is not trusting my own intuition. So Anisha, on that note, can you give us some of your money mistakes? Because we know you're bad and you got some successes, but the people want to know the mistakes too. What say you?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. A lot of times we don't have the platform to have these conversations. Mm-hmm. And people see, and I think that may be what one of the problems with this current generation. They want it now, they want it fast. Yes. Because all they see is the outcome, and they don't know about the mistakes along the way. And what I would say is, my mistake number 1 is not taking more risks when I had nothing to lose. When I was an early 20 something, a 19-year-old something, I ain't had nothing to lose. I'm living at home. I ain't got nothing. So why am I not investing or, putting my money towards things that meant something? Especially like I was mentioning with this generation, they buying the Louis and the Gucci's and the this. It's the money going to the wrong place. So not taking more risk when I had absolutely nothing to lose was number 1. Number 2, not duplicating processes sooner. So I used to be afraid of growth. I was afraid of, I know that next step requires, something else. But the thing, if I knew then what I know now, I would have duplicated some of those businesses that were successful instead of, let me, playing it safe. It don't do nothing but hold us back. And a lot of times we miss that moment. We miss that time. We miss, in show business, they call it 15 minutes of fame. You miss that time when things are right because you were afraid to duplicate the process. And then my last one is being afraid of loans. A lot of people hear me talk about this all the time, but I used to pride myself in not having loans, right? All I heard growing up was, don't get credit card debt, don't get loans, don't borrow money, and your credit. So I was so concerned that I didn't borrow anything. But the thing is, if you want to scale, you're gonna need some real money. If you want to go to your next level, you're going to need some real money. It's just that relationship with money and that money management part that needed to be there. But I shouldn't have been afraid of loans. I could have been, to step 10 a long time ago had I just went and got that money. So, I mean, those are some mistakes that, I mean, like you say, it's not that I'm asking for that time back. It's not that I'm asking to be back at that stage. But Lord knows, if I would have known this then, like you said, I would be a whole lot richer.
I got you. Those are really, really good. Miss Brown, Misty, what are your top 3 money mistakes? The people want to know the bad as well as the good.
So pre-COVID, Misty, or post?
There is a difference.
Listen, post-COVID, Misty taught me how to save and look at what was really important, and not knowing, how to necessarily navigate the world's shutdown made me focus on money matters more than I did before. But so my mistakes, if there be any, I try not to say they're mistakes. A man is always in a picture with somebody always, but it's not my first mistake. It's my forever mistake. But I think fear as well. I think because I married young and had children young, and divorced young, I always felt like I need to play it safe. It was not that I wasn't a risk taker. I just wasn't willing to risk on their backs, if that makes any sense. And so I maybe regret that I wasn't a risk taker, because I've always eaten, maybe not everything I've wanted to eat, or Nisha's food, perhaps. But I've always eaten. So if I eat, they eat. But I didn't have that mindset. I wish biggest mistake is not having a mindset to be a risk taker.
Gotcha. Jasmine, how about you? Your first, second, and third. And I know, Jasmine is in her 20s. She has a lot of living to do. And our goal here today is sisters in that age group, listen to us, learn from us. Have you had time to make any money mistakes?
This conversation is right on time. I could not have been in a better place, in a better time, in a better day. I'm 25 years old, and what Miss Ernisha has just spoken to my soul. I needed to hear that when she said, don't be afraid to take loans. It's because recently, I don't know, we talked about this last time, but I purchased my first property. It's a duplex. And that right there is a loan. Everyone knows mortgage is a loan. And it feels a little scary, because now I'm like, oh, snap, this is technically debt. I owe someone a lot of money. So I'm like, wait, rework the mindset. This is an asset. It's good. This is going to, bring you the lifestyle you want. It's going to start you have to start somewhere. But my main thing is, when I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about my plan, since this was, 2021 goal that I accomplished, there has to be a 2022 and so forth. Now I'm like, but I already have a loan out there. Like, I already have a debt. Like, I want to go get some more. Like, and that I have to get rid of the mindset that it's baggage or it's a problem, and get some more loans, I guess. That I'm really struggling with that concept, because now I just feel like I have catch up to do. Like, I need to pay those people back before I can move forward, because like you said, growing up and even isn't that crazy? Growing up in school, you just hear like, when you're in debt, pay it off. You don't ever want to be under the water. So when I logged into that portal for the first time, I logged into the portal to see my mortgage, and I saw balance, and I was like, a balance, like it must be paid. But it's a mindset, as Misty said. It's a mindset you have to change, and I'm working on it. So I needed to hear this. Thank you.
Ernisha, you are so right. I'm so glad you said that. As we're having this discussion, we're going to do some teaching as well. With money so cheap now, I bought my first duplex. Interest rates was 13%, sis. 13%. Do you know now you can get a 30-year mortgage and them folks will charge you 2 to 3%? So this is a great conversation. And Jasmine, I'm so glad that you were honest enough to say, oh my God, another loan. Listen, if you can take money, I have apartment buildings, I'm pulling money out of all of them because I can go and earn double digit on my money I'm pulling out, but they're only charging me single digit. So Jasmine, there's something called good debt and bad debt. The bad debt is credit card. The bad debt is all of that furniture bill. The bad debt is I don't want to say student loans, but we got to get that under control. Good debt is debt that gives you tax advantages, tax that gives you write-offs, tax that gives you income and passive income. So you're right, and I'm glad that you acknowledge that. I got to get that mindset right. To all my youngs out there, please type in your questions, comments. Do you feel like Jasmine? Do you feel like, oh my goodness, I owe a loan, I got to pay them back, Jasmine? And you know, first-time home buyer is considered someone who hasn't purchased a property in 3 years. So I say to you, sooner, minimum 3 years, if not sooner, you buy your next property. Now let's talk about money successes. We talked about the mistakes, and we're all here because we're, you know, we're going to claim our success. I think my top 3 successes, ladies, was not being concerned with loans. I wasn't fearless enough. You know, I told you that my mistake was fear. I bought a property every year starting from 25 years old. I should have went bigger sooner. No one has a crystal ball. And yes, we had the 2008 real estate bust, but it definitely came back. So I think my success is getting into real estate early. Another one of my successes is aligning myself with like-minded people, like my brother-in-law at the Henderson Financial Group. You know, it's so amazing how we get with folks that haven't demonstrated, how we get with folks that say, I heard, they say, what have finna be, gonna be, about to be, and they've done nothing. How we listen to people that's never done it. So I think another one of my successes is being around people that are at the level that I want to get to. You follow me? And I think my third success is getting myself educated. I'm not trying to know everything. I'm smart enough to know I don't know everything, and that just because I don't know it doesn't mean it don't exist. So no, I don't fall for every scam, but I am open. And I say to you, remain open. And that's huge for me. What about you, Anisha? Give us some successes.
So I agree with you that one of my main successes, one of the things that changed my direction was when I changed my surroundings, when I decided to get around people who had more than me, who knew more than me. And, you know, so before I even started learning from these people, and the funny thing is they were young people, a little older than me, but they were young. And I was like, oh my gosh, they, you know, not only do they have money, not only do they have businesses, they have investments, they had, you know, it was so many things. And I'm like, here I am playing around with, you know, I just bought a little condo here, just bought a little house there. And like the same thing Jasmine was saying, you're afraid of that. You're looking at, you know, what you owe, like, well, I better calm down and act my wage and just hold my horses instead of, you know, and they really taught me how to leverage other people's money, and get what you need, and just how to make more calculated risk and decisions. So that was one of the best things that I could do. It's when I literally just changed who I was around and accepted a mentor and did my thing. And then the other thing, another thing that caused money success was getting educated. So I remember, I don't know if y'all remember when Rich Dad Poor Dad used to travel and, you know, go to different cities. I went to one of those meetings and they were talking about real estate. You know, I thought they were just going to be I had to be like probably like 2021. And I mean, I was just sitting there glued in because I thought they were just going to be talking about money, about how to make money. And they had this whole rollout on real estate, and it totally changed the way I viewed everything. And I'm so grateful for that because, you know, before that, I didn't even realize that investing in real estate was a thing, you know? So, and then some of my other money, successes were deciding to invest in me. And investing in me meant investing into my ideas, investing into the businesses that I had that were being successful, not playing around with it. I tell y'all, like, sometimes we be playing business.
Yes,
And
we do.
we do a little something, we make some money, and we're satisfied and we're comfortable. We get comfortable just getting by, and we don't know how to put the foot on the gas and take off. And I mean, just take things to the next level. The reality is, even though I was in a more fast pace when I started the restaurant for the first time, I still, you know, I operated in a little bit of fear because I could have moved to locations 2 and 3 in year 1. But instead, I'm like, let me see if this thing really gonna work. You know, I hear so many horror stories about restaurants. Let me just take my time. So now we just hit 3 years, and now we're going into locations 2 and 3. And I only said that because Lynda said it, because according to everybody else, we only moving into 1 location. But we're moving into 2 locations at the same time now. So so that's the thing. When I decided to just go all in, go all out, invest, you already know it worked. Really, let's stop. Let's sit right there for a minute, because we talk ourselves out of everything. We realize we doubt ourselves, we doubt our abilities. It doesn't matter if it's worked 10 times over. We know how to pump the brakes if we don't know how to do nothing else. And when I decided to just go all in with certain things a few years ago, that's when everything started falling in place.
Wow. Wow. You're right. We talk ourselves out of anything, and we'll find a reason not to do it. You are so right. Misty, successes. What's worked for you? It's not all bad. What do you think?
It's not all bad. I graduated out of school with no loans, and I put my children through school with no loans. And so people invest in things that are important to them, different from having a business mindset of something that seemed seemingly tangible. I couldn't readily picture it, but I pride my successes in getting the necessary knowledge and experiences needed to, and relationships and resources, don't forget those, needed to run a successful business. We talk about relationships is not what you know always. Part of it is what you know, but it's who you know too. I liked talking about surrounding yourself with just boss chicks. It's just a kindred spirit thing. I gravitate to them. I don't know why they necessarily gravitate to me. I hope to think of myself as a boss chick, and I'm not even talking boss chick my age group, and that's been really my strong suit, you know, those boss chick girlfriends, not even mentors. But then recently I'm mad that I can't do a do-over because Ernisha, and I see Melanie, Mel Shin, Team Shin, I see other, you know, Sabrina, I see other friends that are my young girlfriends that jumped out of the box so early and are just running the thing. And I'm like, hey, I didn't have that gumption, but listen, they teach me too. They light a different spark, you know, under me that, hey, you could have done this a long time ago, but don't waste not another minute. So the success in knowing timing, the success in not having, I have some dumb debt, but I'm not overloaded with debt. And so I'm grateful for that. But the ability to teach and be taught is my biggest success.
Gotcha. So, Misty, 33% of billionaires made their money after the age of 60. So it is not too late. It's you're in very good company. Let me say that. Here's what I want to know, ladies. What are your thoughts on patting yourself on the back? Because I know we've gotten better, but let's face it, women still don't want to brag on themselves. We're told to be humble. We're told to pipe it down. We're told to just do the work and let them see the work, as opposed to just saying, I'm a bad chick. I'm doing the darn thing. I'm going to kick the door open. What are your thoughts on patting yourself on the back? Is that something that young folks do, Jasmine? I think y'all do, but I want to hear from you.
I think there's a saying, give people their flowers while they're here. And I feel like it's time to start acknowledging the fact, like you said, that for so long we've been, oh, we must be humble, or, oh, don't talk about it. But it's so important that we create spaces like this where we can say, like, I'm a boss, I'm gonna teach you how to be a boss. Like that openness that I feel like, not to come for y'all's generation or anything, but I feel like y'all have this the silence thing going on, and people don't talk, or you don't share certain things, and some things go unsaid. But now I see, when, I don't know if it's because of the internet or just today's day and age, the kids are getting wilder by the generation, but everyone's talking now. And so I'm thinking now it's becoming okay to pat yourself on the back. And one other thing I wanted to ask, because I noticed that almost all of you have mentioned, this goes back to the loans and the debts and things like that, but all of you have mentioned not being afraid to take risk. And so I'm seeing a correlation between that risk taking and loans, or leveraging. As Ernisha said, you said the magic L word. And I feel like no one teaches you, no one tells you that taking out a loan, that's just leveraging. And this is a business strategy that big corporations and billionaires use. Oh, we're just going to leverage, but they're changing the actual language from leverage when it's, big corporations, into, oh, you're borrowing or debt or loans when it's just regular people, to create this disconnect. So now in my little mindset, I'm like, I don't want more debt, but these billionaires leverage, they use other people's money all the time. Their money sits in their investment accounts and continues to grow, and they just keep leveraging and leveraging. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for that to everyone. I'm sitting here quietly listening, but I'm making sure to make these points. Thank you for making that connection. So, it's a lot more, it's tangible, because it's something, you think about being a businesswoman, you think about in the future having all these business plans, and you're like, well, I'm just going to save up so I can get there. But no one tells you the reality of that. It's just not likely. You're not going to save your little coins, your 20% of your paycheck, so you can open this big business. You're going to need to leverage at some point. So thank you very much.
You are going to need to leverage. Nobody gets rich by working 3 jobs. Nobody becomes wealthy by working hard. Nobody becomes wealthy by working day in and day out, and I'm going to do more overtime, and I'm going to really grind hard. All that makes you is tired. So at some point, and what I want to keep talking about, especially with our young divas and young up and coming bosses and bosses to be, is at some point it has to cross over, and your money needs to work for you.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it has to be like that. There's a difference between a 50-year-old with money and a 50-year-old without. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, everything money, but it's right up there with air.
It is.
What do you ladies think about this whole myth? And I don't like it, but I'd like to know your thoughts, that Black women can't work together. And to me, collectively, we've opened over 10 million businesses. More of us are in college. We have so much wealth out there, and we run households. What has been your experience, Misty, especially in the arena you work in, with working with other Black women?
Well, I hate to, throw anybody and everybody under the bus. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking, trying to turn off something that's making noise. So I'm a girl's girl, right? I'm a guy's girl too. I'm just kind of a chameleon, and I can assimilate and work with anyone. I have over the years had to dim my light in the face of not necessarily men, but more in working with women. When sometimes when you shine bright, it's not your brightness that, you know, blinds them. It's you know, they can't see anything else. And so it makes them more intimidated or jealous or envy, which I hate to use those terms, but it's the truth. And so, but I always tell my friends and others, even young girls, that when they find themselves in those situations, that honestly, all women want is a compliment. And so I have maneuvered through 31 years of government by just saying, I love your dress. I love your hair. You presented so well at the meeting. You know, I was so proud of you when I saw you on the stage. I hope other women heard you, or you're a boss chick. You almost deflate or you know, like just take away that I'm here to fight you girl mentality to, wow, you know, thank you, you know, gratitude, thank you. You love this dress, I love that dress. And that has actually worked for me. So it's actually a strategy that I employed and that I encourage, you know, women. I mean, we're not the bad guy. And then I'm not your competition. And that's my other conversation, but that's a conversation at a different level. Now that I have a relationship with you, I'm not your competition. I have my own goals, dreams, desires, places I want to be, places I want to go, people I want to be around. It's not your, you know, your path. And so I want to walk alongside of you on your path and I'm on mine. I'm not your competition. I could tell you who your competition is. They're not necessarily our skin tone, and they're not necessarily women. The white men of America are really the Black women's competition. But that's for a whole nother story. But I try to resonate that, but I start with the very simple, basic, you are awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was a lesson. That was
Yes.
heavy. And I
Yes.
think that's something that all of us, that's a lesson that all of us as women needed to hear, Missy. I'm so glad you just broke that down like that. I was sitting here taking notes as you were speaking.
Ernisha, what's your thoughts on Black women working together in your age group? What's been your experience?
So my personal experience, I mean, as Missy was talking, I can see where some things went wrong and what I could have done to, you know, it's like you usually just look at people like, well, what's their problem? And you just move on. But a simple compliment or something, you know, might have changed things at that time. That's why I'm like, that was like a light bulb moment. That was one of those Oprah aha moments, the way she just broke it down. But in my personal experience with the majority of the female relationships that I have, working together with Black women has it's not only not been difficult, but it's been everything for me, right? So I can go back, I can credit so many people for my success, men and women. But when it comes down to the majority, it will definitely be Black women. People have given to me, they have poured into me. We have started various businesses together. I've started real estate businesses together, and we invested money. And, you know, that's another thing. People are like, you can't be playing around with money with people, you know, especially people you know, or people you in the same family with, because it don't mix and it ends badly. I have not had that experience yet where it's ended badly. I've went into businesses, done business partnership with women and everything, and things have been great. So I think that you know, I'm not saying that I'm the rule, you know, because I know, you know, if everyone is saying it, then maybe a lot more people experience the opposite. However, what I am here to say is that it's not impossible. It's not impossible. And if we not only set intentions, but if we get some contracts, because that's something that, baby, I ain't holding back on. If we gonna come together, we're gonna have a black and white, we're gonna sign it, we're gonna be in agreement, and we're gonna know what the expectations are. What do you expect of me? What I expect of you? And if we don't do it, this is gonna happen. It's in black and white, boo, ain't no hard feelings. However, I've never had to actually go in on the
Oh.
contract.
People think that because you're friends, you don't have to put it in writing. And they think that, oh, girl, you know, oh, so you don't trust me. It's not that. It's just that we don't want any misunderstandings. And so even among family, I encourage you to put it in writing.
Please.
Jasmine, age group, I'm gonna tell you what I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong. 20 somethings, and given the fact that you haven't had a lot of business experience and learning experience, but a lot of you guys are doing your thing as well. I'm seeing the competition being physical. I'm seeing the competition being anatomy and who got the biggest butt and who got the most followers, who got the Instagram influencer. I'm seeing it being the wrong thing. I'm seeing that type of competition as opposed to who's really making money and doing things to change the world. What are your thoughts, Jasmine, and what's been your experience in competition and working with other Black women?
Well, I'm gonna start with the competition and working with other Black women. Misty, again, that was amazing. Thank you, because it makes so much sense. A lot of times when you're in the room and there's only one other Black woman in there and you guys look at each other, sometimes it's awkward and you're like, like Ernisha said, it's like, is she looking at me crazy? But a simple, like, I like your dress would have just let her know that I'm an ally. And we could have been like two Black girls together, just, you know, riding it out. So now I will go forth using that. Thank you. And in terms of everything being physical, you are not wrong. When you first said, like, I'm gonna say this, and I was about to come for the generation, but I have to admit, you're not wrong. Everything is physical. It just seems like online these days, it's more important to look like you have money than to actually have the money. And I guess it's no one's business to check to see what you really got, but everyone is just really focused on looking like it, to the point where things are being staged and faked. There's an entire business of allowing people to have photo shoots inside of a private jet. So you look like you got on the private jet and no one's gonna ask you, where'd you go? Did you get on this jet? How was your flight? Only thing that matters is you got your picture. And so if that doesn't say things have turned physical, then I don't know what does. And I don't know about all that, but I just know that for me, my goal is not to look it. I want to live that lifestyle. I don't want to look like I flew off the Turks and Caicos on the PJ. I want to actually get on the PJ and fly off. So yeah, I can't speak for them. I don't know, man.
Now, another thing I want to talk about, and we have to go there, ladies, we just have to, is the role a man plays in your money mistakes. Now, I'm a very personal person, but I have to share. That's what I do. I've been married twice. First time at age 19, and the second time 20, maybe 10 years later. And a man, both times I had to start over. I had to literally start over. Credit went to Freddy Krueger credit. The second time I had a lot of assets, so now you got to split assets. It's very important to not just go for, I don't mean to be calculating. I don't mean to be trying to trick somebody, but you need to have a credit report date. I don't mean quit him, but I mean, make sure you have the right mindset. I still know, I don't know if it's still 10 women to every man. I don't know that stat, if it's still applicable, but ladies, I am now not married, but very, very happy. Very, very happy. I'm doing my thing. Do I want a companion? Yes. The word need is a little too strong, but I do want. But I'm gonna tell you this, I am not going backwards again in my finances because of a man. So I'd like to know from you, Misty, has a man played a role in any of your financial mistakes?
A man is behind every comma, but no, just kidding. So again, I married young and divorced young, and we had young people problems. You know, you go in debt fast because you're just, you know, you're together, you're two like high flashy type of people, which just is a recipe for disaster. However, I don't blame him for my other money mistakes, but what ended up happening is that I was then a single mom making one-headed decisions for a family of 3. And some of those decisions that I made by myself in what felt at the time desperation or, urgency were not the best mistakes. Moving past that, children are in your life for 18 years. If you don't remarry, they're still your responsibility. So, those things, always can play a role. But I also made probably money mistakes, not taking opportunities that I could have had
Okay.
on love,
Oh, yes.
staying in place, staying in a city, staying in a, just staying and not saying, you know what, let me bet on me and not this. And perhaps, I could have been here. So a man hasn't played a direct role, but very much an indirect role in my money mistakes.
Gotcha. Jasmine, your generation, yeah, that was powerful. You guys are coining new terms, not just gay, not just bi, it's fluid, it's planned, what is it? Planned sex, it's just a lot. And very often you go by your feelings and passion. And you and I often have the conversation, forget doing what your passion, you better make that money and then follow your passion. If you can't turn your passion into profit, you may want anyway, that's another show. But what about a partner in your life? I mean, I've had people, young people that, I can't live without them. Yeah, but they're broken in bankruptcy and you're on the fast track. Oh, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind. What is that these days?
Well, I don't know if that's a new thing, because from what I'm hearing, you ladies have done that as well in your early days. So let's keep it real, okay? You've been there, you've been before at 19, right? So I think that it's okay for people to make mistakes or feel like they're so in love, because at 25, I've been madly in love and fallen madly out of love already. So I know that, I don't know the future. I hope that, I can find, everyone's dream is to find one guy who's so financially stable and you guys build an empire together and, right off into the sunset. But my question is for you ladies on the panel, from what I'm hearing, sometimes you just can't claim these men and you can't have them latched on to you, because if things go wrong, you said you had to start over twice. So is the solution just keeping your finances separate? Maybe I'm hoping there's a solution, because what if you fall in love and his credit score is not so good, but it's love, love, credit score, love. What do you do?
Ernest, why don't you take that one?
Because I'm like, I try my best to refrain from these conversations publicly, because it's going to have all the men looking at me cross-eyed. Because let me tell you something, I am very non-traditional when it comes down to the way that I think about this subject. Love don't love nobody. And I feel like when everyone's like, oh, well, you gotta, go in there. Listen, you have to make the best decision for you, and people can call you selfish or whatever it is. But years later, when everything is falling apart, those people, those naysayers ain't going to be nowhere around. And, so when it comes down to who you date and everything, I think you need to be calculated even before you find that person that you will be with, the one or whomever, right? You have to be calculated in what type of guy is it that you want to attract. Because if you want to attract a guy of a certain caliber, I believe that guy who's all over social media, I believe he calls it high value men, which he makes all of us absolutely hate the term. But if you want to date a guy of a certain level, where are you hanging? Who are you hanging with? You know, where are you eating dinner? You know, let's talk about your surroundings. Let's talk about your friends. Yes, I mean being just that calculated, not just sitting at home waiting on love to fall in your lap and, you know, okay, well, I'm in school, so now I met this guy at school and, you know, that's just who I fell in love with. No, you got to look at his background. I believe Lynda just said it, you know, pull his credit report, look at his family. What are they about? What is their relationship with money? What is their relationship with success? Because, honey, even not even just money and credit, because there's some guys who's really good with their credit and they can save money real good and hold on to a dollar. But when it comes down to success and growth, they want the traditional job with a retirement fund. You know, from they don't mind having a job with the county. Nothing wrong with that, guys. Absolutely nothing wrong. My grandmother retired from the county, and have their retirement fund, and that's it. I literally have friends where the guys literally did not want them to go into business. What's going to happen to our stability? What's going to happen? I was supposed to have a job. You were supposed to have a job. We were supposed to stay at that job forever, retire together, and then, you know, live the life that we had planned, even if that means retiring with $250,000 to our name. And for some of us, that is not okay. For some of us, $250,000 in a year is not good. So, you know, who are you? What do you want out of life? Let's start there, and then we can talk about, you know, these men that y'all falling in love with.
Girl, you said a mouthful. Yes, Miss Misty.
Listen, I always say I have this terminology that I don't mind changing a diaper, but I don't want to have to buy yours. You know, like I'm just like, we gotta be in this together. We got to be in this together. Love is love. Love is great. I'm a hopeless romantic, so I'm going to always err, meaning error on the side of love. But I do believe that I wish I was the same calculating girl that I was when I was in college, because I picked my bad husband that I was going to have children with, but I picked him based on his work, you know, his academic performance. I picked him at that time on his internship selections. I picked him on the time at that time of his cashmere jackets and his Cohan shoes and carrying a briefcase. He had a full look of and a ethic about him that I saw a successful life with. Now, then life happens and you find out they can have that and they're just not good, you know, great people. I shouldn't say good people. They're not great people, but I was very calculating back then because I saw my success being a power couple, you know, being a person that was going to go from here to here to here with a partner on my side. That's not my story today, but I wish I had some of that kind of gumption, and I'm eating at the best places, Ernisha, and I'm in the best places. And, you know, I think I'm a little intimidating, even as soft as I am, but just a little intimidating to a certain caliber of men. So it's not just really, it's not necessarily that you're going to find the man of your dreams in your income value or whatever the terminology you use in high value circles. That's not necessarily true, but at least start there. I'll say that.
You know, we're talking about money mistakes. This is something else I want to throw out there. Long-term planning and being patient. And it's not just the younger people, Jasmine. I know some old fools too that really think that they can make money quick. Every 5 years, it's the same scam that go around. I've had investments that I plotted and planned for over a decade. And I know everybody, like you said, it's not just me, and I'm not the only truth, Ernisha, but I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I know. So I think a huge mistake that a lot of people make is not planning short-term, mid-term, and long-term. You absolutely have to have the money right now, the money I'm gonna need in a few, and the show enough long-term money. You absolutely have to. I think we owe it to our next generation. And I think if you don't understand that the Black woman is the poorest in America, that our average Social Security check, if we get one, is under $1,200, you absolutely have to start planning now. So I'd like for everybody listening to avoid that mistake of not being patient and not planning long-term. Whether it's like Ernisha investing in yourself, she bet on herself with a plethora of different investments from real estate to businesses. Jasmine, at the 20-something, you bought your first piece of property, you know that's long-term. Misty has a long-term career in government and pretty much set the rest of her life and started her own business. So again, over a third of billionaires became billionaires after the age of 60. So anybody out there listening, please don't live a microwave life. That is a huge money mistake. I bet you can remember your hairstyle 10 years ago. Now imagine had you made an investment and just sat on it, how time flies. For those of you with young children, how time flies. So it's just like that with your money. I want you to really plan for long-term, leave it alone, stop chasing every fad and every new thing that comes out. I think that's a huge money mistake as well. What are we talking about when we talk about politics? Does anybody on this panel believe that who is in the White House affects their pockets? How about you, Jasmine? I think you younger people have a different take. Do you believe who's in the governor's mansion or White House will have a direct effect on your bottom line?
Yes, I do believe that. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for voting. I feel like when people say, you know, that has nothing to do with me, that's nothing to do with my life, you're just wrong. It's just as wrong as you can be, because it's such the way our system is, it's like a pyramid. Things just trickle down. And even when you think things don't affect you or it has nothing to do with you, it's going to hit you somehow. Even if it's not a direct law that has anything to do with you, it does affect you. So I definitely think it's important to vote. And when you have people in the White House who don't understand, oh man, you got to get into like my real views, like my views, you know, I just feel like as a collective, we should be doing better together. You know, I feel like things should be less capitalism and more community-based, because at the end of the day, all we have is ourselves. When you have, you know, the cost of insulin being over $1,000 for like necessities, and then you have the cost of daycare being so expensive, and that these are things that people need, these are necessities. So I feel like, yes, who's in government definitely affects you. And we cannot, as Black women, men, whoever, we can't afford to, you know, step out and say that has nothing to do with us, because I feel like it's designed that way. They don't want us to participate for a reason. So that should be more incentive to participate.
Ernisha, in your businesses, in the areas you're in, does politics play a part? Does it trickle down to you at all?
Absolutely. And in my opinion, it does with everyone in business. I mean, even if we can think back to, you know, I know everyone is tired of the topic of COVID-19, but, you know, let's go back to when our then president, you know, got word from the professionals, the experts on what to do and how to handle, and he didn't, you know, he decided to do something another way. It changed us, not just for a year, right? Because it started last year, you know, last year is when things really began to fall apart, but we're not in and out of it in a year. Right now, we are seeing the effects of that one decision over a year later, and there's no telling how long. And it affects us as business people, because right now, you're having a hard time finding staff. There's various reasons for that, even with some of the reasons being the actual corporations, and people are, you know, tired of the way that the corporations are treating their employees. But, you know, when it comes down to staff, when it comes down to right now, the prices of everything, I am really struggling right now with not raising the prices of our food in our restaurant high, because I'm like, listen, people are just coming up out of a hole. You know, they can't afford a $4, you know, price raise on a menu item. Gotcha. But that's where we are right now. I'm talking some items need to be raised by $4, $5, and $6 just because everything went haywire because of that one decision that was made with
Mm.
COVID. So if anyone doesn't believe that, I really recommend you just look around right now and see, how long it's taking for your products to be shipped to you in order for you to get it to your customers. How long is it taking for you to receive merchandise in order for you to operate? Everything is being affected now because of that one decision.
You're 100% right. I'm in the development business, and I tell you, lumber is going up, steel is going up, concrete's going up. It's hard to find people to work in that industry. Everything, construction costs have gone up probably about 30 to 40%, and that is significant, especially when you talk about workforce housing. How are you ladies? We're talking about money mistakes. Has anybody made the mistake of not investing in yourself, meaning taking that class, getting that higher degree, getting that certification? There are a lot of credentials out there. I believe my nephew's taking one that costs $12,000. And he's saying, he's in his 20-something, I am worth it. Has anybody made the money mistakes? Misty, have you not invested in yourself? And that's been a mistake?
I invest too much in myself, and maybe that's the mistake. I want to digress one point before I go back to that. Thank you, Anisha, for talking about what you just did on the political end. And I just couldn't let talking about the 100 years after the massacre in Greenwood, Oklahoma, and how our Black Wall Street was set afire, killing over 300 people, and talking about that and with greed and envy was really the culprits, and not with the trumped up charges about this teenager assaulting a white woman. And we talk about that, and that's almost 100 years ago. But today, I don't want people to be far, disillusioned that type of envy and, those institutional racism and stuff, that they still don't exist. Government runs everything, not just what just happened to us, that we all felt the effect of that. And I am grateful that I worked for government at the time, that I maintained employed and my household maintained intact, but everyone doesn't have that same testimony. And I'm so grateful and very aware of that. But from flushing your toilet to picking up your garbage, to the dead dog on the side of the street, to the stop sign, the stoplight, to every regulated industry, government plays a role. And for those that think that they can live in a bubble and like, oh, I'm not into that, or I'm not political, or this doesn't affect me, again, is sadly delusioned. And I would encourage people, I know that my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, did a whole big push on watching the Black Wall Street. And we're actually this week in a conference on Bitcoin here in South Florida, a nationwide conference, and talking about things like cryptocurrency and other things that may be over our heads and thought, but we need to know what is happening so that we can be not always seemingly on the back, because we were on the back end in all of history. We were on the front end at that time in history that envy and jealousy set in. So I just had to address that, and just couldn't let that government piece slip by without me saying anything. And I don't even remember what your question was to me, but I had to address that one.
No problem at all. So we're coming up on 7:30, got about 25 minutes, but I want us to really take our time and talk about our future moves. We talked about the mistakes. We talked about the successes. We're living in some heck of a good times and bad times, but I'm a firm believer that if you get up every single day and work towards what you want, you're gonna get it. Nothing will stop you. Every single day you wake up and you inch toward that goal, that industry, that certificate, that business, and you stay focused, nothing can stop you. So I want to talk about what's in the pipeline. What's the moves we're gonna make? We're coming out of COVID. We talked about Misty mentioned some of those lessons learned. I'll start. My moves on the table are, I bought a lot of land 17, 20 years ago. And I tell you, I used to walk around popping my collar. I'm a landowner, I got land. And then something hit me and said, dummy, all you got is dirt. You have done nothing until you create and you build and you leave a legacy. So for me, I am hell bent. I didn't name it Lynda's Laws, Casa Linda. I'm coming up with all kind of names, but I will have a large multifamily building on some of that land. And I'm working every single day. I'm getting educated. I'm getting with good developers. I'm putting myself in the room. I'm learning how to go rob banks legally and get the money. So for me, I'm aligning myself with the right people and consultants like Misty's company. So that's my 2022. And I'm not afraid. I'm so comfortable in my skin. So if anybody out there listening and you have something that you want to do that's on that you've been thinking about and you just can't shake, I'm here to say, when we're talking about our money mistakes and successes, learn about it. I intern free for a developer just to get the knowledge. Nothing will stop me. So that's my plan. That's my moves for the upcoming 2022. What about you, Jazz?
Sorry. So yeah, again, property in 2021. And I remember talking to you a couple of months ago. And I remember you saying, I think I sent you a text. I said, Auntie, when did you get your first property? And you told me your age, and then you said, and then I got one every year after that. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay. So that made me it gave me the confidence and, the okay, to say, maybe I can get another one next year and the year after and the year after. If she did it, I can do it. So that's my goal. I want another one, another property right now. Just saving up, saving my little coins. And also, I'm going to hop back in the market. I hopped out a little bit because I got scared. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to hop back in the market and save some more. And hopefully I can be, signing those papers again sometime next year.
You will.
Love it. And you mentioned you're going to change the mindset and learn about leveraging and the power of other people's money. That's huge. And I want to remind everybody before we move on to Anisha, put your questions in the chat. Join us. Any questions, comments, things you want to say, please put it in the chat. Anisha, what's in the pipeline? What's your future successes? What are you waking up focused on every day?
And it's so funny that you just said that you just said waking up and focusing. So I decided earlier this year, I decided to just have laser sharp focus on one area. I still have my investment, still have the property, still have all of those things that I will continue to build upon as well. But the thing that I will have laser sharp focus on is this hospitality group. Like I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, how, you got a good thing going on and you allow fear to step in, you move a little too slow. I could have did some things then that I'm now doing. I am now going to go ham on restaurants. So that's why I'm like, some people, they already knew that we were opening the one location. We made that announcement a couple of weeks ago. But the location we got even before this location, but it takes a lot more work because it's built from scratch, from nothing. That one will also be launched this year, and I'm not gonna stop. And then I'm also I'm building a franchise model, and we will have multiple locations everywhere. And year number one, Lynda, year number one, people were coming to me saying, I want to invest in this restaurant concept. Tell me what to do. Take my money and I didn't take the money. I was like, I gotta test it some more and I gotta do this. What I should have did was I should have immediately started, drawing agreements. And even if I set a later date, and allowed that testing period, I should have moved on that money, so lesson learned. But now I'm going ham on it, and we're going to build this thing out, and you'll see these restaurant concepts popping up everywhere.
Love it. Love it. MXB and Associates.
MXP and
Some changes this
Associates.
year. Yes.
There's a saying that if you think of something long enough, you'll act on it. And the analogy they use is that you see a Rooms to Go City Furniture commercial and you thinking about designing your own living room remodel, and you keep looking at the commercial, seeing, eventually you're going to pull something together and go get a new couch. What I have learned and what my 2021-22 plan is that when I made a decision, the universe shifted. I made a decision. I made a decision to start my business. And when I said it out loud, I spoke it in the existence that I could see. But I know that there's such a far away place that my business is taking off to that I can yet see. I realized that I said that I was open to every opportunities, even the one that I could say no to, I'm open to. I made a commitment that I would work behind nobody else's desk but my own. And I am sticking to those thoughts, focused thoughts, those making a decision and running with that decision and keeping myself open for those opportunities. I am grateful. I am eager. I have like what they call sea legs, not sure. I'm not real sure of myself, but I am sure of my decision. And I made it. I'm sticking to it. And all I have to say with those that are thinking about making a change, thinking about starting a business, let that thought manifest into a firm decision and just go with it. Just go with it.
So we have two questions, and if anyone has questions, put it in the chat for me. One question is, how do you take care of your mental health? Now I follow tennis, and the young sister Naomi Okasami literally didn't want to do a press conference, and the French Open official said, "You will do it," and they fined her $15,000. Little mama said, "I tell you what, I'm gonna get the jump on you. Not only am I not doing it, peace out. I'm leaving." And so she said, I have to take care of me, my mental. We all have this cape on. We call ourselves, look at the language, boss woman. Like, and Misty, I've seen you move. Now, you may not agree with me, but you are a pleaser and a caretaker. You make sure everybody's taken care of. That's exhausting. I mean, how do we make sure mentally, everybody's, are you okay? You good? What about me? Is it called selfish? I don't have children because it's called family planning. Am I selfish because I spend money on me? How do you take care of your mental self, Misty? You really are, yeah. How do you do it? Are you doing it at all?
So I'm the walking crazy, admitted, walking. I try to maintain balance, but chaotic balance, if that makes any sense. I have worked for elected officials for 31 years of my life, my entire career, thinking what somebody else needs to say or thinking what they need to do, thinking about what's happening in the community. Turn on television, there might be a shooting, there may be a press conference, there may be a ribbon cutting, all this, that fast pace in my head, could make one person go crazy, but then I start doing the same thing on every other aspect. I'm fully committed to my sorority, fully committed to my social life, a good glass of wine, church, spiritual, spiritually focused. What I neglected and what I'm trying to do, and I didn't know how exhausted I am, was just simple rest. just my mother told me something at the age of 16 where I thought I would never forgive her about not letting me go to a party. And her words were, there will always be a party. And she was absolutely right. Learning how to say, I wish I could go, but I'm really tired. I've always taken care of myself, so there has been no lackluster of making sure I look good and feel good on the outside. But there's an inner body, you know, that has a 50-something-year-old heart and 50-something-year-old lungs and bladder and brain that needs rest. So learning how to get rest, I would say that to everyone in my listening, you know, voice, you know, that you're hearing. Get the proper rest, whatever that means for you. There's no real balance. I don't think that we'll be fully balanced until we meet our Savior again. But as we are running this rat race, that we find time to care for ourselves in the form of rest.
Amen. Jasmine, you guys are under a lot of pressure. I mean, mentally, you got to look cute. You got to get the right photo op. Your Instagram got to be popping. You got to get so many likes. You got to have so many followers. You got to be on the scene. You mean you don't know about this artist, that artist, boot the boot, bot the bot, beat the beat. You don't know. And you got to stay up on it all. How do you take care of your mental health? People may say, oh, you're too young. You don't have problems. But that's not necessarily true, is it?
Well, in terms of staying up with the music, I think you may be asking the wrong one and all that stuff, because I was walking down a path in life and I had to choose, was I going to be cool and hip and know all the music and all the stuff, or was I going to get this money? And so now I'm like the old lady. I'm like the old lady of the group. They're asking me like, hey, let's go out. I'm like, what are they playing? Who's this? What time is it? So I don't know, but I see what you're talking about. And someone said same. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. And it is sad. It's a lot of pressure. I see the younger generation, and that's where you hear terms like, unfortunately, you hear terms like depression and burnout. And, you know, there's a lot our young kids are facing. And I consider myself young, 25, but it's starting as early as 12 and 14. And I just think it's social media. So sadly, I don't know. I don't know about that one, but I did want to say something. I see a message here, a question here, and someone says, how do we feel about using life insurance policies as a source of wealth building? That is an excellent source of wealth building. There's something called an IUL, and in general, there's whole life policies. And I feel like in finance, there are these little tips that the 1%ers know, and they don't necessarily share with the rest of us. But there are a few things in this world that are able to grow tax-free, and life insurance policies are one of those vehicles that Uncle Sam is allowing to grow tax-free, not just the death benefit, but they have whole life insurance policies where you can have cash value inside of these policies and use them as bank accounts, is what the 1% does. They're using these cash value life insurance policies as bank accounts, getting guaranteed dividends of like 4%. And I think it's an excellent source of wealth building. So that's the answer to that question. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go back on mute.
That's my girl. All right. Anisha, you got a cool name. Your generation millennials, even y'all name cool and put pressure on people. I mean, what's the pressure? Everybody, you supposed to be, if I hear one more millennial say I'm going to retire at 40, I'm going to have my first 5 million at 40. Oh, this is you, Jasmine. I mean, come on. I don't need nobody. I know how to do it myself. You guys have a lot of pressure with that cool name millennium. How do you take care of your mental? Especially if some of you are mothers, your wives, your aunties, your daughters. How do you do it, sis?
So for starters, we are the generation of the unique names. I just had this conversation with my husband 2 weeks ago, and he was like, what's going on? You're like, everyone our age. I'm like, listen, our parents were on something else. They weren't naming us Anna or Susan. They wanted something different, and it's unique and it was creative. And I told them, you better not come for us. So yeah, our millennials, even our names add pressure. And I do believe in and I also I'm on track also to retiring by 40. I literally could retire any day, but I'm on track. I could retire by 40, but the closer I get to 40, the more I realize I'm probably not going to. I'm probably not going to, but it is a good thing to set a goal and to reach it. But one thing I can say is that it's a lot of pressure, right? So while Jasmine's talking about how, you know, her life is right now, I'm like, oh gosh, that was me. I was in my 20s. I did not, I had never went to a club. I had never, I had never drank. I didn't get a chance to do certain things because I was so focused, and I just wanted to, whatever I had, tunnel vision, whatever that goal was, I was determined that that's what I was going to do to get there. And I didn't care, you know, if I lost friends, I didn't care about any of that. But as I got older, when I was in my early 20s, it was all good, right? And you could do it all, and, you know, forget child, please, I have time to do everything. And then once I hit my 30s, that's when I was like, okay, you know, people were like, Ernisha don't never answer her phone. She's slow to respond. She this, she that. And that's when you realize, okay, I have to be present in life. And I have to make sure that I take care of me. Missy was saying she had no problem taking care of her. I had to learn how to take care of me. I had to learn how to put me first. And I wouldn't say that I was depressed. You know, I wouldn't say that I had problems, but I can say that if I would have continued on that role, if I would not have learned how to say no, if I would not have learned how to, you know, just make sure that I'm not spreading myself too thin, then, you know, I probably would have been down that road. So when it comes down to mental health and what I did to preserve mine and to kind of bounce back, I definitely just, I went through a time when I shut everything off from my life. And I just was like, I'm gonna focus on family, and I'm gonna focus on business, and that's gonna be that. And that was the best decision that I could have made. I had the opportunity to regroup. Like Missy's mama told her, those parties ain't go nowhere. The networking events ain't go nowhere. Everybody's still waiting with open arms. So that's what I did. And then to back up what you said, Jasmine, the life insurance policy is something that I just started learning about over the past few years, and I have one as well. And once I finally, you know, y'all know how it is, all the attendees, y'all know how it is when y'all hearing people talking about buy this, buy that, get this investment, get that life insurance policy, and you start looking at people like, oh my God, what they trying to sell me next? You know, some people will go around without life insurance for that feeling, that fear, like, you know, I ain't got time for this. They always trying to sell something. Let me tell you, okay? If you don't hear nothing you heard me say today, that was a lick, okay? For y'all who don't know what a lick is, that's what they say on the streets. That's what they call a come up. That was a lick. I have literally, it's like a bank. It's a bank of your own that you can withdraw from, and your money's still making interest. Even though you withdrew the money, the account looks like the money is still there, and you're still making money on the money that you had there. And listen, I ain't no expert on it. All I know is that money looking right, okay? So yes, Jasmine, you on point with that one.
That will definitely be the next webinar. You are so right. And that's why I said at the top of this, just because you don't know about it, don't mean it don't exist. Somebody put their hands up and they put in the chat, how do they change their mindset about the fear of getting loans? Fear and doubt will wipe you out. I say you talk to somebody that's demonstrating. Look at, you know, when I decided what I wanted to do, and I knew probably at the age of about maybe 17, 18, that I wanted to make $10,000 a month before I opened my eyes. Now that's nothing now, but that was back then. And I just researched on how millionaires back then were made, and it was real estate. And so what I say to you when you say, how do you get over the fear? Do your research. Trust but verify. Talk to people that are doing it. Ernisha just said, life insurance. That's where I put my money. I borrowed from it. The balance still there, earning interest is my own bank. You have to get with like-minded people that are doing it. And you tell me if I'm wrong, ladies, people who really want, who are really doing it, want to share. If I see you want to know this, if I see you want to be all you can be, we love to share. We want to tell you how we did it. And so it's just important to ask, seek, and knock. Nobody gonna run up to you and say, let me if you really want it, and every day you wake up and you focus, you're going to ask, seek, and knock. And people that are doing it love to share. Let's talk about some closing words. We talked about today's topic, money, mistakes, and successes. We talked about our mistakes. We talked about our successes. We talked about what we have in the pipeline. I think my closing argument would be, as far as money mistakes, every mistake is a life lesson. I tell you this thing, it's like I say with men, I don't know what kind of man I want, but I darn sure know who I don't want. I do know what kind of man I do not want. So every money mistake I've made has been a lesson learned. It will definitely be, it's a lesson learned, and I know what not to do. I'm going to not be hard on myself. I'm going to know I may make a couple more mistakes, not many. I don't have that much time, but I won't make the same. Shame on me for making the same mistake. I may make some new, but not the same mistake. Misty, closing comments?
I like what we talked about in terms of you know, surrounding yourself with, you know, others that may know more than you, or, you know, understand things better than you. I've been always open for you know, conversation, relationships, and organically, that's how Lynda and I met, and just a very organic relationship. And there was a time in my life that I was fearful about the financial mistakes I had made, and I felt like my credit looked terrible, and that I was a poor steward of God's blessings in my life. And talking to Lynda as a, you know, a financial guru, and her just sharing very honestly and open and transparent, just some of the, you know, the financial issues and struggles and things that had gone on to your life. And there's never, you know, it's never too late to start at a point making a decision. I leave you with, you know, relationships. You're no better than that. We're relational. That's how we were set up, you know, to serve and have relations with one another. And when you let go of fear and hesitation about other people and their knowledge and experiences, I'm no financial guru. When you all are talking, even Jasmine, I'm like, I'll be embarrassed to sit in front of her to talk about this, that, and the other, because I'm like, what? But I learned to trust someone that knows more, that has the ability to mentor, that has the ability to pour into your life. And so I leave with that, you know, like, you know, money mistakes are just those, they're mistakes. We don't call them failures. They're just mistakes. There's opportunity to grow and learn all over again, but trust someone to get on the better track if you don't believe you're on the right track.
Gotcha. Ernisha, closing arguments, closing comments. I'm so used to courtroom.
My closing comments will be, I don't know if you pronounce her name, Gaslin or Goslin. But she says sometimes we feel behind, but we're right where we're supposed to be. And I know a lot of times, especially when you listen at the microwave generation and the millennials, and you know, and those of us who, you know, it's go, right? Sometimes it can make you feel behind, or it can make you feel like you aren't doing enough, or make you live with regret, like, oh, what I should have did, what I could have did. You are right where you're supposed to be. You needed to do what you did at that time period. I probably would have been buck wild if I would have been clubbing, and I wouldn't have been where I am now at that young age, right? So I can't live in regret for not doing certain things, even though I don't regret it. But the same thing with some of you in business. I have a lady that I mentor, and she's in her late 50s, and she started her business. It's a cleaning service. in her late 50s. This is after a divorce, after she's moved on and moved to another city and everything. And she's like, you know, I'm just going to do this. After a couple of months, that business has now taken off. And she is now cleaning she started with a contract with Marvel Studios. Now she has a contract with, you know, a couple of other places as well. And she's looking back and she's like, you know, it happened so fast. I guarantee you, once you tap into once you surrender, like Missy just said, once you surrender to whatever it is, your dreams, your goals, and what it is that you want to do. And once you finally put that foot on the gas and decide, this is the direction that I'm going, this is where I want to be, and this is how I'm going to get there. I guarantee by the time you look up, y'all see how fast time has flown thus far. Like Lynda said earlier, you can remember a hairstyle from 10 years ago. You can remember a moment from 20 years ago. By the time you look up, you will be right where you want to be. So you don't feel bad about where you are. We're not doing that in 2021 and beyond. We're just not doing it. What we're going to do is we're going to start fresh. We're going to kick fear to the curb. We're going to get a mentor whenever we feel a little shaky, somebody that can shake us right back up. And we're going to keep pressing, and we're going to get to that life that we desire and that we see for ourselves.
Yes. Woo! You said it. You said it. Jasmine, closing comments.
Well, as the youngest little businesswoman on the panel, I have just been sitting here soaking up so much knowledge. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just going to do a quick little recap of what I've learned. I'm getting this theme, this central theme from everyone of release fear, no fear. Fear has no place in successful business womanhood. And so that needs to be left to the wayside so we can move forward. So it's easy to say, you know, don't be afraid, no fear, no fear. What do you do to get rid of that fear? Educate yourself. I'm hearing each and every one of you has said, I researched before I did this, that, or the other, or I got in this place, or I did internships, or I watched here and I learned here. So education is the way to release that fear so that you can go on to your dreams. I'm getting that. Thank you so much. And also just your network. You know, Misty, you said something like you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be an expert in everything. You have to be able to trust people. So if you have this network of friends, if you're surrounding yourself with your friend, the financial advisor, or your friend, the lawyer, you know what I'm saying? You're setting yourself up with people you trust. These are not people you have to look up on Craigslist to go and, you know, and trust them with your life savings. You know, this is your circle. So I'm going to get me a good circle. I'm going to release the fear. I'm going to get my knowledge up. And thank you so, so much for this.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, ladies. Our next session will be August 5th. And we touched on it about money moves we wish we would have made. But we're going to dig down deep into that. Ernisha, thank you for bringing up your experience with life insurance and using it as a wealth builder. We're going to dig down on money moves we wish we would have made and we can still make. And on October 7th, we're going to talk about being in the right room. How do you get in the right room? How do you throw elbows? Do you lie? Do you fake it till you make it? Being in the right room to get you where you want to be. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, President Eric Knowles, for allowing this platform. Ladies, I love you. Thank you for giving up your Thursday evening and helping. Thank you so much to all of our listeners, watchers, and people that make comments. Have a good night.